Today, we're jumping into a really complex piece of American history.
That's right. The American Civil War, 1861 to 65.
We're going to try and unpack its origins, some key moments, and maybe understand its legacy a bit better.
Yeah, because it really does continue to shape things, even now.
So, diving right in, the mid-19th century. Our sources paint a picture of, well, almost two countries, right?
Absolutely. You had the North, industrializing, focused on commerce, free wage labor.
And then the South. Very different.
Very different. Agrarian, yes, but its wealth, its whole structure was built on chattel slavery.
And that wealth, it's kind of staggering when you see the numbers. Around $3 billion tied up in enslaved people.
It's a figure that's hard to wrap your head around, more than railroads, factories, banks combined.
So, I mean, that puts the political stakes in perspective, doesn't it? Any threat to slavery.
It was an existential threat, exactly. It wasn't just about economics like tariffs, though those caused friction.
Slavery was really the core issue, the one they couldn't reconcile.
Right. And it had been debated since the country was founded, basically. But things really heated up.
That Dred Scott decision in 1857 seems pivotal.
Oh, massively. The Supreme Court essentially said black people weren't citizens.
And that the federal government couldn't actually limit slavery's expansion into territories.
Uh-huh. It just invalidated previous compromises. Blew them up, really.
Now, we often hear the term states' rights brought up. How did that play into it?
Well, the sources we looked at, particularly the secession documents from southern states,
They're pretty explicit, aren't they?
they are. They talk about protecting their property, and it's clear they mean enslaved people.
So states' rights was, in this context, largely the right to maintain slavery.
That's what the documents themselves argue, yes. It's important to see that direct link.
And then came the tipping point,
Lincoln's election in 1860, seen as a direct threat to the institution of slavery.
which led 11 states to secede and form the Confederacy.
And then Fort Sumter, April 12, 1861.
Confederate forces fire, and the war begins. But it wasn't smooth sailing for the Union at first,
No, definitely not. Lincoln was, politically savvy, but untested militarily.
and his generals were maybe not aggressive enough.
He certainly thought so. It's fascinating. He became this sort of activist commander-in-chief, studying strategy, issuing orders.
How did that personal shift and the war itself change what the fight was about?
Well, the big moment there is the Emancipation Proclamation, after Antietam in 62.
Right. That changed everything.
It did. It turned the war into, well, a crusade for freedom, as some sources put it, a moral dimension.
And it had strategic consequences, too.
Huge ones. It basically made it politically impossible for countries like Great Britain to support the Confederacy.
So it helped prevent foreign intervention.
Exactly. But, declaring freedom and achieving it, two different things. A long road ahead there.
Then you get to 1863, a really decisive year.
Yeah, the summer of 63. You have this 1-2 punch.
Gettysburg first.
Yeah.
July 1st to 3rd.
Right. Lee's big push into the North is stopped. The high water mark for the Confederacy, they call it.
And almost immediately after, Vicksburg falls. July 4th.
That's Grant. Captures Vicksburg on the Mississippi, the nailhead, Lincoln apparently called it.
Holding the South together, so capturing it.
Split the Confederacy in two, gave the Union control of the river, vital for the Anaconda Plan.
That's squeezing strategy. Blockade and river control.
Exactly. And after Vicksburg, Grant's star is really rising.
He just put in overall command eventually.
Yes, and the strategy shifts towards total war, relentless pressure.
Like Sherman's March to the Sea.
That's a key part of it. Targeting not just armies, but infrastructure, resources,
Yeah.
the will to fight.
A brutal approach, which leads eventually to the end.
Appomattox, April 9th, 1865. Lee surrenders to Grant.
And Grant's terms were famously generous, weren't they? Aimed at reconciliation.
They were a moment of, perhaps, potential healing.
But then, just days later, tragedy strikes.
Lincoln's assassination, April 14th, just 5 days after Appomattox.
Wow. That must have completely changed the mood, heading into Reconstruction.
Absolutely, a profound shock. But the war did bring about huge legal changes. Reconstruction, the second founding.
The new amendments, 13th, 14th, 15th.
Right. Outlawing slavery, establishing birthright citizenship, guaranteeing voting rights regardless of race. Monumental stuff.
On paper, at least. But the sources suggest these were maybe aspirational.
More aspirational than reality for a long time, yes. Reconstruction faced huge opposition.
It was ultimately subverted.
Largely, yes. You get the rise of black codes, then Jim Crow laws, reestablishing segregation and inequality.
So the promise of those amendments wasn't fully realized for, what, another century?
Pretty much, not until the civil rights movement. So a truly unfinished revolution in that sense.
Beyond the fight for equality, what other long-term impacts did the war have?
Well, the power of the federal government expanded dramatically. Its budget grew like almost fivefold.
Solidifying federal authority in a new way.
Definitely. And another area, maybe less obvious, is medicine.
Oh, how so?
The scale of casualties forced innovation. The first real ambulance corps, organized field hospitals, triage systems.
Things that formed the basis for modern emergency medicine.
You can draw a direct line, yeah. So lasting impacts in governance and even healthcare.
So wrapping this up,
Mm.
what's the big takeaway for us today?
Well, the war definitively answered the question of whether the U.S. was one nation, indivisible.
It settled that.
Yeah.
But the struggle for equality, for full citizenship,
That remained, as we said, unfinished. A work still in progress, you could argue.
it's a reminder, isn't it, that building a more perfect union is an ongoing task.
Absolutely. And you see how those wartime changes in government power, even in how we handle medical crises, still echo. It's all deeply connected.